pop culture. Everything is permitted.
Welcome to episode 88 of Everything is Permitted here at Wade's Comic Madness. I am your captain and host, Julian Brown, alongside my co-host, the Man of Steel, Matt Reppert, and the Master of Puns, Brittany Tomes. How we doing?
Pretty good. It's Valentine's Day, because you guys are my best pals, and we're here together on Valentine's Day eating donuts and stuff.
Palentine's. Yay.
I don't know. I just made it
I
up.
like it.
You guys have significant otters. I go home and I take pictures of auctions. So.
Otters and auctions.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
We both were on the same brain level today. You brought big donuts and I brought little donuts.
Ta-da. Oh, you brought the holes that fit inside the donuts. So
Yeah, exactly.
we could stack them together.
About to
and eat
say,
them
that's
like
what
a
we should do, is take some of them.
Oh, my God. You complete me.
Thanks, Jerry Maguire.
I'm thinking of the Joker.
Yeah, right?
You complete me.
We live in a society. I hate that they did that because that fucking meme. Oh, my God. Anyway, I'll get to that later.
Oh, boy. Wait, is the trailer out? Did I miss it?
They just did an actual trailer this morning, which is
Yeah.
funny because I complained about there not being a real trailer.
I knew it was releasing today. I didn't know what time it was going to be at. I know Brittany's going to rant about
Joke's
that in
on
just a
me.
little bit. But this week, we're already at episode 6 of WandaVision, and things just got like crazier and crazier in fucking Westview. Jesus Christ. Then in honor of Valentine's Day, Matt had the brilliant idea to talk about thirst. It's our first ever thirst segment. We're going to go down a list of some of our favorite video game characters that we've crushed over the years of all the awesome video game content that we play. So we're going to have that. And then finally, we'll wrap things up with Snowpiercer's 3rd episode of season 2.
Whoop!
Is Leighton keeping everything calm and collected, or
Don't you love that I
I
did
tried
right
so
before?
hard. I tried
He
so
tried to
hard
stay
to
calm
make
and
it all the way
collected, guys,
through.
but I fucked it up.
She came and Wilforded me. Didn't make me slip my wrists, at least. That's good. Yeah. I mean,
Not yet.
Not yet.
Let the
Oh,
puns
my
come.
God.
Jesus. So yeah, is Leighton keeping everything calm and collected aboard Snowpiercer, or is Wilford making headway? But before we get to all that fun
Choo-choo.
stuff, Brittany, how can people support our show?
Well, if we didn't win you all already with that amazing opening we just did, head over to everythingispermitted.com, hit our drop-down tab, select Patreon, it'll shoot you over to our Patreon page. There you can select either $2 a month or $5 a month tiers, and either way, you get awesome bonus content, lots of fun stuff. You get awesome stickers from us, which are amazing, and they still adhere through all the sleet and snow and freezing ice on my fucking car.
It looked really
still
cool on
there.
my car
Under
when
the
I went to
ice?
go. Yeah, it was pretty badass. Yeah.
I'm sorry I ruined it, but I was
No,
just...
you didn't ruin it.
I was thinking of it last night when I was trying to punch, the ice off my car because I didn't bring a thing. And I didn't know it was going to freezing rain until I got done work. But anyway, it was fun.
Indeed.
I think that's everything. I want to really sell this, but I feel like if you want to support us
It's
already.
true.
You know.
You do know. And we're going
There's
to
so
be
many
doing
perks.
finally, we had to put it off a couple of times, but for the $5 patrons, our EIP VIPs, you get a bonus pod almost every month. Sometimes we get too busy and life happens. But next week, Matt, we're recording Composer Clash, man.
Yes.
Composer Clash.
What are we going to be doing there?
We are going to be taking composers. Now, the ground rules are we're trying not to do like video game versus movie composer and so on and so forth, but we're going to take 2 composers. We're doing a video game composers. We'll keep it a secret as to who we're going to do because I want to have some fun with that. But we're going to have 2 composers go head to head. Brittany and I picked the composers this battle, and we picked 3 tracks that we're going to pit head to head, argue why this one track is better than the other, and Julian is going to be our judge, jury, and executioner.
Except I'll cry and I'll be like, I love them both. But, the whole time I'm like, do we have to fight? But I get it's the clash. Either way, they're both amazing. So we'll
If
get
you
there.
guys have ever watched, what's that show on ESPN? There's Around the Horn. It's Around the Horn.
Yeah, on ESPN.
And like the dude gives like the negatives, and I used to love that show. For the longest time, I had a really cool concept after I did the Soccer Desk podcast of doing another soccer podcast, which would be like Around the Horn style, but people kept coming in and backing out, and This
Just
happened
made me think of
instead.
Daft Punk. Around the horn, around the horn.
man.
Nice.
Around.
That's a good reference, though.
Yeah.
I like it. I guess that'll leave me to do our patron thanks this
Ew.
week. So become an EIP VIP so you can listen to that awesome bonus pod next week. I'm really looking forward to it. I'd like to say thanks to Billy Peets, Heather Reppert, Rob Migliaccio, Michael Cox, Nikki Veazey, Matt Moore, Cabria Wimbush, Rob Carter, Kyle McClinton, and Connor McClinton, the McClinton brothers. I want to know what you guys thought about that little special thing I did for you. Shoot me a message. Let me know.
You're either McClinton or you're McClint out.
Indeed, they are. Hey, Matt, if people can't support our show on Patreon, how else can they go about doing so?
By going to wherever you listen to Everything is Permitted, whether that be on Podbean, YouTube, wherever, and give us a hopefully positive review, a 5-star review, a like, a subscribe, whatever. We appreciate
Big fat
all.
Valentine's kiss.
In the form of 5 stars.
4 or 5 stars.
Maybe a meme.
Put them 5-star lips on.
A
baby.
tiny shout out.
Anything.
I left. I was handing out our cards like in with the free promo stuff I give out at Wade's like to customers because I had so many. I was like do. And I guess one has been stuck at the front for a while with the QR code up. And this guy came up the other day and he was talking to me, and out of nowhere he just goes, "Oh," and scans the QR code and goes, and then walked away. And I was like, guess I got another listener. Like, I thought he was gonna like talk about it or be like, "What's this for?" or whatever. But I was just like, I was just still bagging his stuff. So I was like, okay,
He just randomly scans QR codes that are everywhere.
I guess he was just like, "What is
People do that, man.
It was near like the free stuff bin of like little like pins and different promo stuff we have that I'm just like, we need to move these. Let's go. So I think he was just like, "What's this free QR code?" And then he was just like, podcast. Might listen tomorrow on my
Nerds.
commute to work.
Nerds having a podcast.
Oh.
If he is listening, he's probably pieced out by this point.
I hope he stuck around for that shout out. I don't know his name, but
Yeah,
he
for
bought
real.
a lot of
Whoever-
King in Black stuff, so that's cool.
Nice.
That's
But what?
King in Black, like the Venom event.
Oh, nice.
There's so many events in comics I can never keep track.
I just
can't,
finished.
and I work here.
So I just finished X of Swords, or it's actually 10 of Swords.
Yeah,
Man,
because there's 10.
I gotta
There's more
say,
than 10.
there were some really cool things about it, but overall,
It fell flat.
it fell pretty flat.
It fell on its own sword.
Kind of, actually,
Yeah.
yeah.
Trip and
Yeah.
fall on
Is
its own
that
sword?
sad? Yeah, that's what I heard from
Yeah,
everybody.
because
I didn't
that's
finish
like
it yet.
it's Hickman, you know, and like he's a fucking genius, and it was just like, wait, no,
It built
Tracy
to,
Hickman?
it built to so much,
Jonathan Hickman.
and then at the end it was like, "Warp."
Yeah,
And you were like, that wasn't
The
going
build-
where I thought.
Dude, the build was crazy. It was bananas. And then just anyway.
God,
Anyway,
you guys saying Hickman, I just thought of Tracy Hickman, the author, who
Hickman.
he and Margaret Weiss did so many books. I'm actually friends with Margaret on Facebook, weirdly enough. I think about it.
I'm friends with Kevin J. Anderson. Authors are very outgoing. It's very cool.
I think
Yeah.
they gotta be to make it.
Yeah, Margaret, it seems like the most wonderful woman. I love Margaret.
Indeed.
Yeah, think
You
of
should
how many
send her
times
a
they send their
Valentine.
stuff out
I,
and
sh-
they
I
got
should.
rejected.
Actually, what I need to do is ask her if she'll sign like a book plate, because I have like a lot of my favorite authors sign book
I'm
plates.
sure. A lot of these authors you can message on Facebook or Twitter and be like, hey, if I ship something to you, can you sign it? And I think like 9 times out of 10 they'll say absolutely. So let's get into some rants and raves, and I talked to you guys about it before the show. I'm gonna go first.
Go!
Whoop.
I'm gonna start this with a disclaimer. I spent the past few days after the news came out debating whether we should even talk about this at all. And I'd actually decided that we weren't going to talk about it, that we were just going to do our little bit about it in the permitted minute, and that was going to be it. But some things have come to light, and I have some very strong feelings on it, and that is Gina Carano being fired from Disney, The Mandalorian, and the people who are supporting said person. If you're supporting her and you're saying like she did nothing wrong and she got canceled, the first thing I'm going to say is, one, she didn't get canceled. Let's get that out of the way immediately. She didn't get canceled. She got fired. She got fired for the same reasons any one of us sitting in this room, Wayne upstairs, my wife at her job, anybody who is getting a paycheck from anywhere would get fired for. That is why she got fired, because she did not represent the company that she worked for well. Mm-hmm. And she didn't make any attempts to apologize.
She doubled down, in fact.
Yes,
Yeah.
she did. So when you say that she got canceled, no. I've been fired from jobs, not for shit that she did, but for not either representing my company well or not doing my job to the best ability that I could, and that was the situation. Period. End of story. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Second, for people saying that she's not transphobic, okay, that could be debated, right? Though it's probably not true. She probably is transphobic, but nothing like, there's not really a lot surrounding that. But let's look at it this way. Putting beep bop boop as her pronouns, right? It's disrespectful. And there's no apology. Again, there's no apology. None. So, the first thing I'm going to do as an actor, if I decided to be an idiot and post things like that, would either to be, well, I would do two things. I would apologize if my career wasn't already ruined. And two, I would probably set up some kind of charity or anything, because that's what celebrities do, to say, hey, I'm an idiot. I do support trans rights, and here's this charity, and let's make some money and support trans rights and trans groups. And let's say like homeless trans people. Like, that's what I'm going to do to make the situation right. No, nothing. Not a fucking word, not a single peep. So
She escaped to Parlor.
Yes, that.
Is that still a thing?
Where she could... No, not anymore.
I thought Parlor was like annihilated.
No, they were all insurrectionists.
I don't know if I'm on 1, 2, or 3 here. I think I'm moving on.
You're on 2.
I'm moving on now to point 3. Point 3, saying that she did not compare being a Republican to being a Jew being persecuted by the Nazis. Yes, she did.
She literally did.
She literally did. You cannot look at that post any other way. And this is where I come in. Fuck you, and fuck you. I'm a Jew. I have been called some really nasty fucking shit in my life. While my son Caleb was getting his naming ceremony done, my rabbi, who I consider a very good friend, had to find out 5 minutes later that one of her friends got shot and killed in the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting, okay? So, yes, she made a really fucking awful comment, and it's fucking bullshit, and she got fired for that, and pretty much that alone. Not like the other shit Disney could have let slide. Not saying they should have, but they could have.
Yeah, and they let it slide for a year.
And they did. This is straight up being a piece of shit. And I, as a Jew, am personally fucking offended by it. It is messed up. And then, point 3A, people, bigots, racists, white supremacists, going on Twitter and pulling up this fucking meme or tweet that Pedro Pascal tweeted comparing Nazi Germany to 2016 through 2020 Donald Trump concentration camps, because let's not mince words, that's what they fucking are, saying that Pedro Pascal should be fired for that. No, you know why he's not getting fired for that? Because kids are being separated from their families. They're being put in shit-infested cages and they're fucking dying. Okay? That's what happened in concentration camps. You want to know how I know that? I've talked to survivors. My grandmother was a survivor. So fuck you, fuck your bigotry. She got fired. And I'm done.
Yeah. She got fired and Pedro got hired. That shows you everything.
I could go on more, but
for anybody that's still listening, all you need to know is like Gina Carano's next movie deal, look who she's working with.
Yep.
Ben Shapiro. Not even remotely
Internet shit lord.
anybody. He's basically a fucking meme lord. He spreads misinformation like nothing else.
He's basically a conservative troll. He is the new age conservative troll. Like, he's not an old guy, that's like your grandfather that believes those crazy things. Like, Ben Shapiro is legitimately a terrible person. And I mean, and I still think one of the funniest things ever with him is he was on a British talk show and he accused the British host of being like some liberal elite media. And the dude interviewing him is like one of Britain's most conservative pundits,
right,
who literally laughed and was just like, Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous you sounded right now.
Exactly. So, yeah, he's just another reason America's a laughingstock to most of the other world. So that should prove the point.
So I will kind of piggyback on Julian's rant a little bit, because I was planning to rant about it, because I've seen people throwing their support behind her, this announcement of her little movie with Ben Shapiro, and I'll tell you right now, it's going to crash and burn, whether the movie actually gets released or not, whether they just take people's money and then it never gets made. It's going to crash and burn, because I know I've already seen this kind of bullshit where they're trying to push this hardcore conservative narrative. Because have you ever seen the Atlas Shrugged movies that came out within the last decade? No, you probably haven't, because they suck and nobody wants to watch them. And that's exactly what will happen with this. And I know to some people we're going to come off as kind of smug elitist liberals or whatever bullshit.
Hold on, let me interrupt you right there. We are smug elitist liberals on this show, and we have not. We have made that very known throughout this podcast entirety. That is who we are. So
Julian's like, it's tattooed on my ass. Like smug elitist liberal.
I don't know if I necessarily agree about the smug elitist part, but we are definitely liberal.
No, we're definitely liberals, but I'm talking about like the way people do that whole thing of like you're not willing to talk, to be rational and everything. Like, no, I'm not, because the thing is what Gina Carano did with the pronouns and look, I've told people so here's the thing about me. I had a friend who I was a baby with who was born Mike. Mike and I knew each other since we were literally infants. His grandmother lived next door to my parents and his parents would bring him over, so on and so forth. So a few years ago, Mike became Sage and had surgery and everything like that. And I'm not going to lie to you that it's not hard in my mind to still think of Sage as Mike, because I knew Mike for so long. But that little effort where I call her Sage and all that stuff like that, it's a little bit of effort that makes it better for people. And the fact that Gina Carano was not willing to do that, either she's a lazy person or she was actively trying to be harmful. And I have to think it's the second option, because given where she is in her career, she was a professional athlete, MMA and stuff like that. Like, that takes hard will and discipline to do that stuff. I can't do that. And the fact that was never willing to do that little bit extra just to be decent to people tells me all I need to know about her. And it's, it sucks for some people that the Cara Dune characters, because I know some people liked Cara Dune and all that.
I like Cara Dune.
Yeah. But she basically dug her own grave. And for those of you who are saying like, oh, Disney are hypocrites, yeah, they are.
Yep.
We have
through everything.
We have made no secret, and honestly, I know Brittany and I definitely want to do an episode where we just completely trash Disney and like all the shit they've done over the years.
They were born on racism and anti-Semitism. So if you're calling guffaw now that they finally have fired somebody for being anti-Semitic or whatever, what have you, it's like, oh, it only took them forever. Disney does what is profitable for Disney. That's what they've done. You need to understand this, because if Gina Carano hurt their brand to the point where more people would walk away from their brand than stay, if they thought that keeping her would not hurt their brand, she would still be employed. I promise you that.
I agree with that.
So
hell yeah.
I'm just gonna.
They were like, we really care what you're doing now.
It's Britney, bitch.
Speaking of, congratulations, Britney Spears. I hope your conservatorship
Yes.
goes away completely
Oh
at the
my
next
God.
hearing.
Holy shit, that was amazing
it was.
news to hear. I was like, thank God, this poor woman. In her Instagrams, people would even write in the comments, they'd be like, Brittany, if you need help, like, wear a yellow shirt in your next video or whatever. And she would, like, do that in the next video. And people were like, she is not okay. She's, like,
Yeah.
trying to send help messages. So, yeah. Anybody who's been shitty to her entire life.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is to just you piggybacked off me, I'll piggyback off you. Disney is not a good company. Okay? Yes, we all ingest their shit because we love it. Like,
It's a
there's no
monopoly.
denying that. But like this shouldn't be shocking to anyone. Like it just shouldn't. Disney did what Disney does, and that's what's right for business. And to give them the littlest bit of credit, they made the right move. We had talked about this however many episodes ago. Not many episodes ago. It was pretty recent that this is probably going to happen. So it shouldn't come as a shock. Anyway.
Nope. It's almost like a shock trooper to your systems.
Oh, boy. Do you have a rant?
I
Hillary-
do. I have different rants and raves this week. So I have 2 rants, and my second rant that I'll get into turns into a rave. So first rant. I know this is going to be solved today because he finally dropped a full fucking trailer, but dear God, the last few months of these fucking, I don't even know how you can call them trailers, but the Snyder Cut, quote, trailers that have been coming out, or like little sneak peeks or little sneak videos or whatever. I get it's like trying to drive hype, but like it's to the point where like I am someone who works in a comic book store, and you're making me want to see it less. Like, I'm caring less the more you do this. And it's because I see 80 articles people write about it after that one 10-second shot is shown, and they're like, can you see this? I'm like, I would like to show up and be surprised. Watch the movie and be like, wow, that's what Steppenwolf looks like now? Wow, this is what this is? Oh, the Joker's in it, and maybe they made him better? Who knows? Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, no matter what, I'm going to watch it. Because I do still love DC. Like, I will never not love all the comics I've read growing up or the characters I've read.
You have to pick one, Britt.
No, oh God. Anyway, I was like, I wouldn't even respond to that. But just, oh God, just too many. I'm tired of all the clickbait, all the articles, all these like weird little things. It's fine to show one or two like sneak things and be like, it's coming this date. Like, that was fine. But it's been too much. And I'm like, we got like a 5-second shot. Like, why are you like writing an 8-page paper about this? But the full trailer is today, so I guess my prayers have been answered if I was praying for forgiveness.
When is the official release of the Snyder Cut?
In like less than a month. It's like,
Isn't
it's
it like
March
near
5th
your
or March
birthday?
8th.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we're,
I still don't think it's going to... I know some people actually like it now because of the fact that it's basically giving the finger to Joss Whedon and everything that's been happening
you
with
know
that.
that this movie, whether it sucks or not, people are just going to blindly love it because of that alone. Which,
well, I mean, the cast was
why
pretty
not?
like, they wouldn't talk about Joss Whedon before when the movie came out, and when it did and everybody hated it, they're like, yeah, well, fuck Joss. And I was like,
Can we talk about real quick? Can we also talk about real quick that people are fucking defending Gina Carano, but you see no one
defending Joss?
No one coming to the rescue of Joss Whedon.
It's so nice because, like, even 10 years ago when shit like this was being, like, leaked before, people were still trying to defend him or being like, oh, but I really, like, don't get me wrong. I'm a fucking nerd. Do I like shows that are in the Whedonverse? Like, did I like Buffy and Firefly and fucking Dollhouse? Like, yes. But being the critical watcher I am, I've picked up on the same things across those 3 shows. He often writes himself in as a self-insert character who doesn't need to be in the show. Like, the nerdy, weird, standoffish guy who does creepy things, like, he does that on purpose. That character that shoots Tara, that didn't need to happen, but it's the character that he wrote as a self-insert that was weird. They made the programmable, like, sex bot and, like, the Buffy bot, all that weird shit. Like, you're like, what the fuck? So he, all these years, proclaimed himself to be a feminist because he made these shows with strong female characters, but he treated them like shit. And if you break down even some of the plots of the episodes, like Dollhouse, I think was ahead of its time, but it's a fucked up show. You think about it, the amount of stuff, like, I like that it tackles certain themes, but at the same time, I'm like, it's really fucked up that you wrote a show where this happens to this character and she was sold into this business by someone who loves her that she didn't want to be with. And then every year on their anniversary, he buys her as a robot again, wipes her memories, and then has sex with her. Like, that is something that happens on that show to one of my favorite characters in that show.
God.
It is fucked up. So anyway, I will say you can ingest things, but you must be critical of them. So it literally never shocked me when I heard any of these things about Joss Whedon for the last 20 years. Every single time. And when he did the Avengers, like, and he starts throwing in, like, you can tell he throws in, like, quirky things and stuff, but then, like, changes the tone. And I mean, didn't he do Age of Ultron?
He did one, and he did Age of Ultron. And I think part of the reason
that's the reason I don't like Age of Ultron.
we were talking about this on our Discord, and we were talking about how probably the reason that you don't get a lot of, like, bad stories from those sets is, one, it was mostly male cast members, and 2, my theory behind that is that these are like multi-million
and he
dollar
toned it
actors.
down for certain things.
If he put up any shit, you'd have Robert Downey like going immediately like making.
But he
shit
could
public.
get away with it with DC because DC's not the booming empire that Marvel's movies are.
So.
I will be glad once the movie comes out and people they will either like it or hate it. It'll be applauded or just be like, it's okay.
It's gonna be. I
just want to be over it. I hate
are we
the
doing
building up to it.
the full 4-hour marathon at my place?
Yes,
yeah, we are.
We will.
Yeah, we are.
So moving on to my second rant. I'm a huge Last of Us fan. And for I don't even know, until the second game came out, there were always these rumors that they're going to make it into a show or like a movie or whatever. And there's been fan castings all the time. They always drive me insane because people post like the same 5 people who would never play the character because they're too old. One, they tried to put like Elliot Page up there, and they originally got in trouble for having that character look like Elliot in the first place. Like, it was too close a resemblance, so they changed the face. Like, it's a whole thing. So I'm just like, no, this
Didn't he say something about it too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would never fucking
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Like, and that was like way before, like, it was before the game came out where Elliot was like, that's my face. Like, change it. So anyway, I've seen everything, like every fucking fan cast, and half the time I don't even have the energy to respond to it because I'm just like, this isn't gonna happen. Sure, whatever. If you want them to be cast, whatever. That being said, I love the casting choices they had. I've been one of those people that since they were gonna make a show, I'm like, that's cool. I will watch it. But also, when one thing changes from one media to another, there's always gonna be something you lose and something you gain. So I'm interested to see what we gain from it changing to a televised show. But I'm also worried that I'm just like, it's not going to be the exact same as the game. They can't possibly do it that way. Yeah. It's not the same actors portraying it, not going to be the same voices you're used to. So no matter what, there's going to be a change. But the people that are immediately up in arms about the casting choices or whatever, it's very interesting to see what people are saying. It's a lot of very creepy men saying shit about Bella Ramsey, who's been cast, but not like...
Oh, no.
The thing is, they're trying to compare, like, a lot of them set it up to be like, oh, it should be this actress because the face looks like Ellie, you know, when she's older or whatever. And I'm like, this show is supposed to take place, like, the first game-wise, so she's going to be, like, 14. I was happy when they showed who they cast because I was like, great, this actress is younger. She's not 14, but, like, she still looks younger. Like, it makes sense for her to play a younger character. Like, I'm glad it's not the same. They didn't go with what fans have been saying for, like, 80,000 years. But, like, just, like, the amount of times I'm in so many different, like, forums for Last of Us. I follow, like, pretty much everybody that works at Naughty Dog, anybody that's ever worked on either of the games. So, like, I see things very quickly whenever they pop up, whether they're rumors or not. And to see the amount of times that a forum or somebody has to say, like, I'm disabling comments or I'm deleting if I see these comments or vice versa, because then they want to compare, like, you know, like, oh, well, she doesn't have the same body as Ellie or, like, vice versa. I'm like, these are both children you're talking about. Ellie is a 14-year-old fictional girl in a video game. This girl is, like, what, 17 now? I think the actor is. I'm like, she is not an adult. You cannot talk about their different... Of course, she's not going to look like a video game model because that character was just created. It's not based on anyone. Some characters are, but, like, anyway. So to see the amount of people that, like... Some people complain, they're like, oh, Pedro's not exactly who I was thinking of for Joel, but the way people talk about his casting versus hers is very concerning to me. And that's the part of it that becomes a rant. So I'm just like, can you not talk about just women this way and children in general? And also, who the fuck cares? Let's see where they go. They're both amazing actors. They're not who I expected they would cast, but I'm so happy they cast them. I'm like, this is going to be great, refreshing. They're going to bring some emotions and depth and, like, just amazing things to this story. So now it makes me want to watch the show. But I'll just say, yeah, don't comment shitty things. People see it, actors see it, other fans see it, and you're ruining fandoms for everybody. It literally makes me, like, sometimes I love The Last of Us so much, but I hate the fandom, which is a shame because as of a few years ago, I would have told you the fandom's amazing. But now that it's branching out more, it's more popular. All these people have hot takes on
especially
everything.
after all the bullshit.
Fandoms go
Oh, yeah.
overboard way too much with shit.
But it's especially, like, just the amount of people that never even played the game that had shit to say about Last of Us 2, the transphobia, like all these other things, people that aren't even fans of the game. It's just, HBO show, and now it's prominent Game of Thrones actors. Here we go. It's not the Game of Thrones actor they wanted. They all wanted Nikolaj. Like,
really? Is
he's
Joel?
too old. He's too old.
Get that.
And on top of that, like, he's a good actor, but I don't see him as Joel.
No.
That was the fan cast forever.
Gods of Egypt did him in.
Not my Joel.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the end of my rants and raves. I love the casting. If you have shit to say, keep it amongst your friend groups. Don't post it in public forums and, like, just be shitty to everybody. People can see it. It's on the internet. It's public.
If you're still listening, we don't normally go this long
sorry.
about this stuff.
We had lots of talks.
We had a lot of thoughts today.
Basically, it comes down to don't be a crappy human.
Don't be an
Just
asshole.
try to be a good human. Be nice to each other when you can. Sometimes you gotta call people on their bullshit. That's fine. It's valid. But yeah, don't be a piece of shit.
Yep.
We love you. If you're listening to us, you're not a piece of shit. We love you.
That's very true. That is very true. Anything else? Anything else? Any other famous people do stupid shit this week?
I mean, I'm sure we could look up many.
I think we're done.
All right. It is time for
The Permitted Minute.
The Permitted Minute.
It is the Permitted Minute, and we are going to go here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mr. Gata, start the clock.
We've got more Borderlands casting news as legendary Jack Black has joined the film as Claptrap.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine will end its run on NBC with its upcoming 8th and final season.
HBO's The Last of Us adaptation found its leads this week as Bella Ramsey of Game of Thrones fame will take on the iconic Roman Valley, and the Mandalorian himself, Pedro Pascal, will be playing Joel.
In case you didn't know, Cara Dune crashed her X-Wing and died somewhere on an unstable hyperspace route.
With the superb owl behind us, the good news is flown in on a bat. What We Do in the Shadows has begun filming its 3rd season. This fucking guy. Zack Snyder revealed a sneak peek at his take of Jared Leto's Joker this past week in anticipation of the next trailer for the Snyder Cut, which is out now. We
have a new Mr. and Mrs. Smith as Donald Glover and Phoebe Smith will star in the Amazon Prime television adaptation.
Ooh, plenty of time.
Okay.
What a little
you got
too
me worried.
fast.
You sighed, so I was like at the end.
I think we were going too. I think we were speed running.
Oh, I could have thrown in "Come to me, minion" in the beginning. Protect me, minion.
I know nothing about Borderlands,
dude.
So.
I like Borderlands.
I might stream those games. They're so much fucking fun and so many 80s references. Oh my god, I love it. I love it. I used to play with my brother.
Speaking of things that we love, it is time for our 6th episode review thing. I don't know what I was just saying. 6th episode review. That doesn't make sense. It's our WandaVision episode 6 review titled All New Halloween Spooktacular.
I love a good Spooktacular.
God.
I love Halloween, so I love this episode.
I mean, I loved the comic accurate costumes. They were
I did like the little explanation for Wanda's costume, but then Visions are just like, and yeah, and they just kind of just let it fall.
Yeah. We'll go right into it. Brittany, your thoughts on episode 6?
It was fun. I had fun. Well, Matt, I'm gonna wait till Matt talks about his things later so I can rant. But
oh boy, yeah.
That being said, literally there were a few times this episode where just the shit that certain people would say, I was just like, ha, okay. So yeah, I think I wrote in the chat literally ha 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 ha. Anyway, watch WandaVision, and it was so vague, but I was just like, man. We in it. And that's all I'll say for now. I really enjoyed it. I had fun. I had a blasty blast. I hope they keep Billy gay, please. Disney, dear God, please. I want him just don't ungay him. Whatever he's in after this, because I assume it won't just be this show. But if you're doing Young Avengers, let him date Hulkling. Let them be married.
You guys can't see it, but
That's
Brittany
it.
just got very, very intimate with her microphone.
I just have a feeling. I'm like,
don't
ruin this for me. I was like, this little kid is the gay representation I get right now.
Matt, how about you?
I also dug the episode. I think I saw an article that said WandaVision is the most in-demand TV show right now, and it's kind of hard to see why. They're doing an excellent job building the story and keeping it going week to week.
Yeah, I'm always like, oh man, I want another episode.
Well, I saw the meme where it's like, the greatest villains, and then it's like the initial credit thing from Wanda. It's like 3 other villains, and it's that. Yeah.
I love it. Because then you're like, no, it was only 20 episodes. 20
well, it's just like, well, at least the remaining episodes are going to be an hour long.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to be long.
So
thank God.
Yeah, because the last one was, 37, I think?
This one was longer. Yeah.
But still.
I think it was shorter.
No, I mean, this was still, longer than some of the others, though, right? This week?
The first few were, 20 minutes.
Maybe not?
Yeah.
I love this episode, and I'm going to talk about the one thing that you guys aren't going to talk about because you have your theories and you have your theories. So I'm going to talk about the fun stuff of the episode. Let's talk about Jimmy Woo.
I love Jimmy Woo.
I fucking love Jimmy Woo. And you know why I love Jimmy Woo in this episode? Because he fucking manhandled those sword troops, man. They're going out and Monica's there. And listen, Monica's a strong badass too. But, you don't immediately think of Jimmy Woo being
but you're he is an agent.
Yeah, dude. Because, the first thing you think Jimmy Woo, he's like, oh, card magic and shit like that.
It's like, you want to see a card trick?
Dude,
boom.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to make this pencil disappear. Yes. Just got goosebumps.
That's why I slapped the table. I was thinking of that scene.
And that made me think of it. I just love how he just manhandles him. It was just like, Jimmy Woo, where's your TV series, man? You, Monica, and Darcy, like, let's go.
I love that they like referred to them as like the trio this episode, where he's just like, all three of you, just go fuck off.
Get him off my base.
Yeah,
Get him off my base.
I love Jimmy Woo. I like the awkwardness of Vision in this episode, and like him talking with Wanda and very like clearly hiding something and like hiding what he was gonna go do. It was very good acting on Paul Bettany's part. And listen, the one thing I'm gonna say as far as crazy theories wise, we've talked about it briefly, but we think we might be going away from this a little bit.
No, don't you start this shit like Matt said. Go ahead.
No, I'm not what Matt said. As far as House of M goes, did you notice, like, okay, this was definitely Wanda's.
Did I notice? I'm pulling up the mic.
Look into my eyes.
Look at me. I am the captain now.
Did you notice how, even though that is her comic accurate costume, the M on her helmet was very, very
House
much. If
of
you
M.
go look at the comic right after, that is the House of M.
I did look at the comic
Yeah,
immediately.
me too.
Because I went to work immediately afterwards.
And I showed it to Karen, and I showed it to Geneva because Geneva was over watching too. And I said, "Look, that's the House of MM." Even though it is like that is what it is in the comics, it was so defined.
It was very
and
M.
obvious. It was so M, and I loved that.
They could have little like loopy, but they went M.
This is where the show started to lose me a little bit as far as the fun sitcom stuff goes, because as much as like I'm a huge fan of like the 50s and 60s
like
and
Malcolm in the
70s
Middle.
stuff, I've never seen one single episode of Malcolm in the Middle.
If you have, it was really it was on point.
Everybody said, "Oh, this is totally Malcolm in the Middle." Like,
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Props to the people that do the theme songs for the episodes, like when
Yeah.
they changed it every time, because as soon as I heard it, I was like, this is Malcolm in the Middle.
The
This
opening
is
credits
amazing.
were fantastic. That I liked. But like, I never watched Malcolm in the Middle, so
I watched it for Malcolm in the Middle was one of those shows that I watched for a time and I fell out with it. I think after like 2.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever saw
seasons.
the end of it, but it was always on TV when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I was around that age, so.
Well, it's also funny because last week's episode was very like 80s, but I guess they also considered it 80s, 90s because they
I
added
think
Full
it's Full
House.
House. Yeah.
Yeah, so they didn't really do much 90s stuff, so they went right into the 2000s, early 2000s with Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh my god!
Could you believe we could have had Fresh Prince?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
I like how you were going to bring up something else, and I was like, Fresh Prince.
when they were at the movie theater, Geneva pointed out that it's at The Incredibles, and
Yeah.
that came out in I think 2004.
It was the 2000s.
Yeah,
Well, it was
early-
and it was Parent Trap.
Yeah,
and I was
Parent
like, okay, Disney,
yeah.
you have the rights to those films. Okay.
But no, it was fun. I don't know we're gonna get into more of the in-depth stuff, but Vision just trying to leave. That was a moment.
I love the Halloween.
That was a moment. I love the Halloween, and I love Quicksilver, comic accurate Quicksilver, awesome. And then Wiccan and Speed, like just yeah. Anyway, let's go into.
I have the need for speed. When
I
you
wish-
said that to him, I was like, Speed's gonna get his powers.
I wish that I had the ding 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 bell I used for Connor and Kyle because I know you guys are about to duke it out. So
No.
let the battle begin.
We're not duking
We're not
it
gonna
out.
dig it out. I had
I
an
know.
excuse to
I'm
yell
half
earlier.
joking, but go on with your theories or breaking of theories.
So now obviously I still very much agree with Brittany is that the whole Agatha thing, but I do think that Agatha could be like looking like the Agnes character, because like Agnes the person is a real person, but Agatha essentially kind of took her identity, because the thing is that Vision did interact with Agatha. You know, he kind of like unblocked her or whatever like that, and all that fun stuff. Now, granted, I'm not a comic guy, so I don't know what the full extent of her powers are, but one would think that if he interacted with her, he would kind of sense something about her.
Nah, Vision's a dumbass.
Damn.
Took him too long to realize he was in an illusion. He's also didn't know he was dead, so
His vision isn't very good.
yeah. He's got 20/20 vision.
God
Not
damn
where
it,
matters.
nothing, Julian. How dare
That's
you?
okay.
How dare you?
No, it's okay. I know what you mean. I think the people that made the show are very smart about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that gives away to me, once again, that she's more powerful than people think, is that when he goes to the outskirts of town, as he leaves the epicenter of the sound, he comes across first people that are starting to slow down and can only do that one action. The lady's dropping her, there's the little tear. He moves out further. People aren't even responding to him, aren't moving at all, don't even look like they're breathing. Then at the very, 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 very fucking edge of town is Agnes in her car. he comes up to her, but she's mumbling. She is actually talking in the car and saying like, oh, I took a wrong turn. Where's the way to the town square, whatever. Like, if nobody else around here can even fucking move, let alone talk. He rolled up. One, she was dressed as a witch, so immediately I went, like I let up one of my laughs. Then she was mumbling, oh, where's the town square? Oh, I must have made a wrong turn. And he's like, in the town that you've grown up in the town you lived in, whatever. She was there for a reason on the outskirts of town. Whether or not she was trying to test to see if she could break the barriers or whatever, you can argue any reason she'd be out there. But when he, like, unleashes her, and then she brings up the fact that he's dead, and she's screaming over and over again, like, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, like, and then he, like, mind makes her go back. We've seen when he does that to other people and they just snap back into their daily, like, doop, 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 doop. But she turns, she gives that creepy ass smile. And then
okay, neighbor.
She does her little, like, witchy laugh and then goes, okay, neighbor. And then, like, takes off. And I'm just like,
well, yeah, she shouldn't have been able to.
They dressed her as a witch. She was able to talk and literally, like, could figure out why she was kind of doing things. Yes, you can argue that, like, Wanda does have control or power over her. Like, yeah, maybe she was legitimately stuck there for a reason. But she is more powerful than you think. She is not necessarily the one in control of everything, but
No,
neither is Wanda.
No, but that's see, that's where I disagree a little bit. Wanda's saying that she's not in control of everything in the previous episode is saying that what we saw in this episode, she doesn't have a huge range of control. But
she expanded at the end of the episode.
Yes.
I know, but hear me out. There is a commercial in this episode about Yo Magic, which is not about yogurt, kids. There's a shark that's swimming around, ready to eat the kid that dies because he can't tap into the magic. And you know what that shark does? He feeds on the magic. Who feeds on magic, kids?
Mephisto!
More powerful magic people than you! So yeah. And the amount of times the devil or hell is referred to in this episode, especially by Quicksilver, I was like, Pietro, buddy. It's like, you need to talk. Are you sending little messages? There were 2 times in this episode, I want to point out, that the scene skips, and it's on purpose. It is when Wanda is talking to Pietro, there is a slight glitch, and the audience doesn't really see something that happens in that scene. The other time is when Vision is dropping down to Agnes's car. There is a slight blip. You do not see what initially happened in that part. You see what they want you to see. Why is it Quicksilver, and why is it Agnes? Because once again, like I've said before, they have more to play than the audience thinks they do. They have more to play than maybe they think they have to do. There is a reason for these things. And like I said before in the past episode, when Quicksilver arrived, I'm like, why? And I said, I hope he's not there to manipulate Wanda. But I mean, he does say in the beginning of this episode when he's like, well, I'm supposed to play my part. This is my role. I'm supposed to get in the way, like basically be like a wedge between you and like your husband, do this, do that. He's like mapping it all out. Same way that Agnes was like, let's take it from the top. I'm supposed to hold the babies. This is my line. Like, they know the role they're supposed to play, but why do they know that?
One of the theories is that Pietro is Mephisto. What do you think about that?
Arguably, any of them could be Mephisto.
Yeah.
The fucking swan that showed up to drop the baby off, who she couldn't get to fucking poof away, could be Mephisto. That's the glory of Mephisto.
Yeah.
But I will say the shark commercial pointed that out to me pretty hard when he was like, I'm snacking on your magic. He didn't really sing it, but I was just like, that's a very Mephisto thing to do, sir. So is her hex growing? Is she growing in power and someone's going, oh, I can eat today. Thank you. Probably.
I am 100% in agreement with you about Agnes. I think that she's playing a role there. She was playing dumb.
And she was trying to help Wanda a lot, which makes sense for her character.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about Agnes anymore because you just blew that out of the water.
No, I just have so many
cross
thoughts.
that out.
That's vaguely what I can say without ruining people's lives.
Monica's astrophysicist in a second. But I do want to two things I read and I want to get your opinions on this week. There's this other theory, which I think could be maybe a little bit outlandish, but it came from a good source, and I want to bring it up, that her whole situation in Westview could actually be the Mind Stone. Like, this is all being done.
We already talked about that in a previous episode, and you guys were like, no, this can't be happening.
Did I?
Yeah,
Did
well,
we?
in like the very beginning of the show, I
You
said
brought
that
up a lot of things.
I have because I have ADHD, but also I said a customer came in and was like, "When does this show take place?" Because what if it happens within the Mind Stone? The fact that certain characters, especially in the comics, when they disappeared, went away into like the Mind Stone itself. Right. But then people were like, "Well, the Mind Stone would take my time, it was bring back whatever." The Mind Stone still exists. We know that because they returned all the stones to their correct places at the correct time, and we know that.
But aren't they destroyed by this point, though?
No.
But the thing is, it was ripped out of Vision's head, but the original one was he never destroyed the stone. He took it for himself, and then it was brought back into the past in the place that it needed to
Well,
pop
Thanos
out.
snapped them out of existence, and then they went back in time to get them, and then they put them back in their timelines after Endgame.
At Endgame, Cap brought and put them back in their timeline, which means they're all exactly where they should be right now in the present. Though.
But in this timeline right
It's
now,
after
they're
Thanos
destroyed.
already
It's
snapped.
after Thanos destroyed them.
No. In this timeline right now is after Endgame. They're not destroyed. They're back where they belong.
Yeah, because the reason they're not destroyed is because alternate universe Thanos came over after our universe Thanos was killed, because then he was like, "Oh, you basically helped me along a little earlier," and then he brought a new set of stones with him.
No, he didn't bring a new set of stones.
Tony snapped.
Those are all the ones that they went back.
Oh yeah, he stole the. Yeah, never mind.
That's
all the ones from our
like,
universe.
I don't think the stones exist at this point.
No, they do. They do.
No, they're.
The best thing about the stones is that they always exist.
But hold on, no, but Matt,
Does that help?
Matt, look at this. So Endgame, Tony snaps, right? Everybody comes back. We see that with Monica, right?
Yes.
So after that, Cap takes every single stone, puts them back in their appropriate time.
But they're back in time, though.
Yeah, they're back in time, but they still exist.
But they still exist because now
that
we're
helps.
in the present.
Because they never were actually destroyed.
Because they were never destroyed and never actually taken.
Well, remember, they didn't undo Thanos' snap. They just undid.
They just brought them. They did their own snap and brought them back.
Yes, they brought them back. So basically, when Monica reappeared, that's when the Endgame final battle.
I see what he's saying
Yeah.
in a way, because they didn't undo Thanos' snap, right? So if they were brought
they just
back,
brought the people back. They didn't say he never snapped. They said
if they were
people
brought back in time, then Thanos still has them at that point and does his snap and then destroys them. So actually, Matt's right; they are destroyed.
Yeah,
Now,
they're gone by this point.
Either way, what I was trying to say before, regardless of whatever fucking bullshit time travel Marvel tried to do in Endgame that I still hate because it doesn't make sense. You know how I feel. Listen
That's
to every other
all
episode.
time movies.
It refers to like 8 time movies in the movie, and that's how you know it's not a good time movie.
Let's go get
I was
some
like,
whales,
this is a
guys.
heist movie. Anyway, the real end game is the stress Brittany feels along the way.
Damn.
Scarlet Witch and Vision's powers are connected to the Mind Stone to begin with. Like, both of them have that connection there. It wouldn't be implausible to think that it has something to do with the Mind Stone.
Well, they also did that little snippet of like, Monica, your DNA is being rewritten every time you
that's
go
the
inside.
other thing I wanted to bring up.
Mutants.
So one, I'm not the happiest that she's going to get her powers from this scenario, but I get why Marvel has to do it. But I was just like, oh, really? Like, I let out a little sigh because I was just like, yeah, I know she's going to, like, I knew when she first appeared, she got yeeted through the room, and, like, she survived. I was like, okay, makes sense, but, like, she doesn't have her powers yet. But I'm like, dang, this is going to be her origin? But anyway, it's going to show that that Scarlet Witch has the power to give other people powers. Either way, but when they were, like, looking, and she's like, oh, man, the molecules, they're deteriorating or whatever, I was just like, are they? I was like, you tell me, are they going down to photons?
Oh man.
Are they binary now? Anyway.
The other theory is that Captain Douchebag, the head of S.W.O.R.D., is Ultron, which could be very possible.
You know, the funny thing
That'd
is,
be
I
weird.
know the dude, the head of S.W.O.R.D., he's supposed to be kind of almost the quasi like secondary villain at this point, but I do give them a little bit of credit in that he was kind of believable when he was just like, you weren't here when everybody was gone. You don't know what it took for us to keep it together and stuff
I said,
like that.
fuck him. I was like, how dare you speak to Monica that way? My coworker keeps pointing out, like, we'll be going through comics and stuff, and I'll be like, oh, Monica's in this one or whatever. And he's just like, you are like the only person that gives a shit about Monica Rambeau. And I'm just like, for now. There are more of us. I was like, but there will be more soon. As soon as she gets powers, then people will be like, oh my god, new favorite superhero. And I'll be like, where have you been? She's been around forever. Not forever, but, you know, for a while. A hot minute.
Let's talk about Monica's astrophysicist. Who are they?
I hope it's not fucking Reed.
Yeah, I don't want it to be Reed Richards.
Oh, I was not going to say Reed
Thank God.
Richards.
That's been
just know
like
some
the
people have
hot
been trying
take.
to
Most
say it.
people, yeah, it's like John Krasinski is Reed Richards.
If y'all remember, there is
You
a
remember?
new series announced called Ironheart. And we know that Riri Williams
Riri!
is the next fucking Tony Stark. It would be pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah,
if
some people are like, is it Riri? Is it Shuri? And I'm like, I hope it's just a smart black woman. It's not like.
Well, it would be
someone
awesome if
else.
it was Riri, though, because she is a smart black woman, and she's still not that well known to people who don't, like, not known at all if you don't read comics. So I would love for her to be the astrophysicist.
It's Paul Rudd. No.
So most people are like, well, she said he or whatever. I don't even remember
I don't think
what
she did,
said. I don't
but-
think she did. I think they just assume. But like Jane Foster is still the most well-known astrophysicist, and that's what I think you guys saw me get into an argument before when someone's like, oh, they're saying it's Reed Richards, and I was like, why would they refer to astronauts still being lost in space after the blip happened? They were like, we lost astronauts, they still haven't returned. I'm like, that is the fucking Fantastic Four. If it is any other group, that is stupid as shit. Like, that is literally the origin of the first superhero family, like in comics. Everybody who hears that is
They're
like,
right
oh,
there. I'm
Fantastic
looking
Four.
at them right now.
Yeah, like if you said that to anybody, was like 4 astronauts disappear, or like astronauts disappear, they're hit by a wave of cosmic radiation, they come back to Earth and they have superpowers. Everybody and their mom is like, oh, Fantastic Four. Like,
Fantastic Four.
so if it's anybody else, other than maybe the Eternals, I will be annoyed. Because if Reed Richards is still on Earth, why did you give us that throwaway line about astronauts?
They
That
didn't. It wasn't a
makes
throwaway line.
no
There's never throwaway lines in the
sense.
MCU. I think we hit all your Easter eggs, yes?
Did we? Hold on.
Pretty much. Jesus.
I'm sorry. I always mean to write them down. There's definitely something else I'm forgetting about.
We didn't even talk about Vision being torn apart trying to leave
Yeah,
Well,
that
that-
was fun.
Westview.
Well, that kind of shows that it's. I feel like now that kind of tilts the series towards Vision's eventually gonna be, you have to let me go.
So I was gonna say I don't.
you love me, let
I
me
don't
go.
see him. I don't see him coming out of the end of the series
Literally
alive.
coming out of
Yes,
it alive.
yeah. I don't see him surviving this series,
Maybe he
which
should.
is unfortunate.
No,
Mind
yeah,
his
absolutely.
business.
And once as I said, like I think when we started the WandaVision, I said like either the series will either be Wanda learning how to let Vision go, or Vision will somehow be brought
Yeah.
back to life without the stone.
Yeah,
instead.
definitely. Yeah, she's
So.
whew, the trauma. That's why. Oh, trauma. Speaking of trauma. That's why I think this episode is so important. Leading up to this, every single commercial has dealt with a specific trauma that was dealt to Wanda. This one is a trauma that has not happened yet, and it's a little more like fourth wall breaking. Because, like, the kid does die because he doesn't tap into the magic, and in some cases, her children have died. Her children have also been the spawn of Mephisto. So, like, there's a lot there. But I think that's, like, in her mind, you know how she is theoretically creating the show and sending it out to people or whatever, and she has these commercials, like, that's her either subconsciously or consciously noting that, oh, something is feeding on magic.
Yeah.
Is it me feeding on magic? No, I'm the most powerful here. My kids kind of don't listen to me, which is fucked up. Vision is off on his own. But overall, what's feeding on magic? And then a kid dies, which I hope doesn't happen because I really want to see Wiccan and Speed do their shit in Young Avengers. But yeah, a lot of hell. Quicksilver, he had so many moments where they were talking.
I know.
And it was just like he would avoid things and skate around them, and he's also like, you don't trust me, but you kind of trust me. But
And
you also have the memories of Pietro.
he also kind of like called her out because she's like, "What happened to your accents? What happened to yours?"
I know, and that's what she needs, a vibe check. But
Yeah, and he was like, "Well, I don't remember it going down that way." I like all those little lines. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I love it.
or like when he's like, remember that Halloween we got typhoid or whatever, and she was like, it's not exactly how I remember it. I'm just like,
I have two things to say.
yes,
I'm really sad when this show is going to be over because I don't think there's going to be a second season. This is like a one-off story,
it's
right?
to blast off the fourth
Yeah.
phase.
I'm going to be really sad when it's over. Having said that, Civil War was on TV, and I don't know why I didn't just pop in the Blu-ray because commercials suck. But
They
like,
do.
that got me so hyped for the fact that right after this, we're getting Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like,
whoop.
I'm now hyped for that show because it was like when Lower Decks was ending, I was like, oh shit, I get to go right into Discovery.
I totally thought when Bucky and Sam were like sitting across from each other that his hand was on his leg.
Yeah.
It was on his own leg, but I was just like, oh my God, they're doing it. Like, I was like, they're letting Bucky be gay.
Let's
fine.
let's rate this episode out of 5 pieces of Halloween candy.
You're up, Brittany. You up?
Oh, I forgot to bring up there were
God.
kids in the town. And he even pointed that out. He's like, where have all these kids been?
Oh, yeah, that's
Did you
right.
do that? And then, like, it doesn't really get answered. So I was like, oh, did she do it? We don't know. And the fact that more of the townsfolk are pointing out, like, is this what you want? I can change it if this is what you want. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he was Frankenstein's monster, but not Frankenstein himself, who was the real Frankenstein.
Speaking of
this
creating
whole
a
hex.
monster.
Anyway, sorry. I'll write it down next time, I swear. I'm going to go through this whole show never writing down my
Nope.
thoughts. 5 out of 5 because, 1, I love a good Halloween episode. 2, they keep handling the sitcom stuff well, but it is becoming less and less, which is nice. 3, they keep giving us a little bit. They give us a little bit, but they're like, you don't know for sure. You don't know for sure. This could be red herring, could not. And I think that is fun. I find that fun. And I didn't have to listen to anybody's theories anymore in hot takes because they're at the point where it's like 6 episodes in the show. They know it's ending soon. They're just like, whatever my thoughts were in the beginning, I hope they were right. So that and the story's been too busy. So I'm just like, yeah, I do not have time. But it's been nice not hearing everybody's hot takes. It makes me enjoy it more.
Nice.
Boom.
I'm also going to give a 5 out of 5. I'm very much am enjoying the mystery of the show at this point.
Mystery.
What's going to happen to Darcy?
Oh, Darcy.
I knew as soon as she got handcuffed to that car, I was like, oh, she is fucked right now.
Oh, fudge.
Yeah, I like that it changed. Oh, fudge. Like, because it went over at that point. So you're like, in real life, she would have said fuck. But she just got wanded, so she said fudge.
I'm not going to lie to you, though, because I think that obviously it'd be the 2000s now, is that if they do like some Two Broke Girls thing with Kat Dennings.
Dude, it could happen. I was thinking that too.
I heard that they're going to go straight up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Probably.
That would be awesome.
I like how it all became like a circus, like as it was expanding.
I didn't.
I was like,
Yeah, you have the agents running and
Clowns.
become
I don't like
clowns.
clowns.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Julian.
If I was there, I would have grabbed Matt's gun and shot them all. Fuck clowns. Ask me how I really feel about clowns. I'm getting fucking heebie.
I remember that was.
What if?
Jesus.
What if?
Didn't mean to throw that at you.
I was gonna say, what if it appears because that actor is the son of the guy that was in Thor as the astrophysicist.
Okay, we're moving on.
I still remember the thing
attention.
Julian hated the most about the Bratz movie was the part where they were made of like clowns.
Oh my god, I forgot we even watched that movie. Fuck
I know,
you,
right?
bro.
I was listening to an old episode.
Hiya, Darcy.
can't do it.
You want a balloon?
Can I have my pen back?
I don't know
The balloon was red, Julian. It's all connected.
You can't see my body right
He's
now.
an
I'm like,
extra-dimensional being.
I don't know where your pen
That's
went.
okay,
so
I
here's
have
this
this
Oh
one.
my god, what if it is Mephisto? Think about it. Or don't think about it, but think about it tonight at 3
I
a.m.
lost my pen because I threw it thinking about clowns and it hit Matt and now I don't have it.
Anyway, watch it.
5 out of 5 because this show just gets better and better and better and better, and it's one of the best things that Marvel has ever done. Period. End of story. Let's talk about thirst, baby.
Time to quench that thirst.
Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, I'm excited for the show. Anyway, I'm ready for thirst.
I am ready for thirst. I am very much excited for next week's episode.
Who
of
do you
WandaVision.
love?
Who do you love? And we're just going to get right into it. Matt, this is your brainchild. As many things are.
I'll tell you. I'll just admit it right now. This idea came from the whole thirst around Lady Dimitrescu. I think is how you say her name. The Resident Evil 8 main villain, like this 10-foot tall vampire lady. If you haven't been on the internet just about this, like, oh my god, the amount of thirst that she has generated is just insane.
10-foot tall vampire lady.
And I kind of see it because there's like a gif of her doing that turn, and I'm just like, okay, I kind of see what people are thirsting
You're
about
like,
her.
be still my beating heart.
She'd probably rip it out, but
Eat it.
but anyway, so yeah, I was like, you know what? What video game characters do we thirst over? And I will launch it off. I did 5 just because in case I had somebody else, caught one of mine. But the first, and these are in no particular order, I got from with the Witcher.
Oh wait, you're gonna read your whole list.
No, I'll just do one at a time.
Oh, okay, good.
Well,
I thought you were about to read all 5.
I will
Sorry.
say they're not in a particular order, but I will save my best for last.
So number 1 on my list is Yennefer of Vengerberg from Witcher 3.
Ooh, she could get it.
I thought about
Sorry.
the stuffed unicorn anyway, but so I actually, for the longest time in the Witcher games, I was all about Triss, the redhead. I like redheads and so on and so forth. But Witcher 3, as soon as I laid eyes on Yennefer, I was like, God damn.
You're like, I would leave Triss for you.
I could see why Geralt, because in the books, Geralt just basically is like yeets out from Triss and is like, Yennefer's my girl. If Yennefer looks like that, I can totally understand why he yeets the fuck out from Triss and goes with Yennefer, because Yennefer is just like her black hair, her appearance, like she is just a total, complete, and utter knockout. And oh my God, the things I thirst so hard for Yennefer. Yennefer.
He yearns for Yennefer.
That is a good way to start.
Wow. Who do I want to start with? Samus Aran. So
Gotta go with the
or
classics.
Samus. So yeah.
Armor or the Zero suit?
Both, sir. I love robots. So anyway, I will say, little Brittany playing Nintendo 64, look at this sleek fucking armor. And the fact that plot twist, it was a female character underneath all along, I was
took
like,
her helmet off.
he's still my beating heart. I don't know what else to say. You have so many games that are like Metroidvania-esque to like copy the success of like the Metroid games. I really loved it. I think one of my favorite games still to this day is the one they had for the GameCube. It was so fucking fun.
That was oh god,
It was like Metroid. I don't know if it was Prime or like it had some name.
I can't remember. I always remember the commercial for it where she's like walking
Yeah,
through the
it was
different eras
so
of her life.
Fun. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And now whenever you play any sort of like Nintendo game, you get Zero Suit Samus that is in there.
Yeah.
So I'm
and
like,
I will. Yeah.
but one, do I want to be her and cosplay her? Yes. Do I want to be with her? Maybe, probably. Like, that's the struggle as a lesbian. You're like, do I just admire you? I was going to say something dirty, but I won't. But
Have
yeah,
you listened to our show?
I have. So it's one of those things where it's like, do I want to be you or do I want to be in you? It's just one of those things. Like, it's the lesbian struggle.
I think that's fair.
So,
man.
yeah,
absolutely fair.
Samus, it's one of those things. Brie Larson did a really awesome cosplay of her like last year or the year before.
Really?
So a lot of people were saying, if there's a fucking Metroid film, like, please have her play in it. Like, yeah, because she got like the legit suit. She was like, oh, it looks so good. She even had like the wig. Oh, so cool.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, I support.
Julian, you're up. Open up your can of thirst.
Yeah, speaking of people I want to be in, one of the reasons I can't wait for the Mass Effect Legendary Edition to come out.
Oh, you're taking one of mine.
I am, and that's why I was really hoping you wouldn't do it first. Miranda Lawson,
The ass shot that launched 1,000.
look at this! Look at this perfect specimen of beauty and smarts.
Nice.
Oh, I know Miranda very well. I'm not gonna
know
lie to you.
Miranda
Like, I
very
understand
well.
why they're doing it, but at the same time, the whole like, oh, we're not gonna have as many ass shots. Like, you sons of bitches.
Like, listen, I get that she was built to look like
course,
that, and
yes.
that's the whole reason. But like, she's also a great character. Like, she's well written, she's smart, and yeah, dude, she's super fucking hot. Like, I've never. And listen, I said this to you before we started recording, as I was handing you a whole box of Girl Scout cookies. I don't really like have a giant thirst over many video game characters. I was only able to come up with 2 people. But like, Miranda could just take up the whole entire list because
Every letter of her name.
I mean,
M-I-R.
dude, the black suit, but then you go to that suit, which is just like peak Miranda,
Yeah.
and played by Yvonne. I can't pronounce her last name.
Stravosky.
Yeah, she's,
yeah.
and then she was in Dexter, and then like I was just like
Chuck. Was she
thirsting for Chuck and Dexter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like thirsting for her even more, and I was just like, oh, Miranda, you could be my Valentine. I mean, look at this fan art, man. Fan art is awesome.
Rule 30.
Nice.
There's Rule 34
Stop
of every.
now.
Rule 34.
God.
I know. Anyway, Matt, back to you.
So, all right, I'm gonna go with one of my favorite redheads. I'm just gonna jump around my list. I'm gonna go with Kasumi from Dead or Alive. Boob jiggle physics aside,
I love Dead or Alive.
I love Dead or so. Real talk,
my favorite fighting
Dead or Alive
series.
is one of my favorite fighting games. It might have only recently been supplanted by the newer Mortal Kombat games.
Which are so good.
They're very good, but I loved Dead or Alive, and I have loved.
My favorite is
Kasumi.
Hitomi. Hitomi, power up.
But I always loved Kasumi. You know, she had the whole little shinobi ninja thing going. She looked gorgeous. Was always fun to play. I don't know why I liked Kasumi more than any of the other characters. But Kasumi, and of course Dead or Alive, beach volleyball. God damn it.
Oh, man.
So yeah, my second thirst is Kasumi from Dead or Alive. So Brittany, you up?
Well, you can sue me because I'm going to bring up a character from a game I have yet to actually play. but it's Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Hold the fuck up.
Almost put her on my list.
She is more Wonder Woman than any Wonder Woman who has ever existed. Like, holy shit. People are like, Gal Gadot, so amazing. Oh, yes, she's so fun, whatever. Yes, Gal Gadot is beautiful. But, holy shit. Cassandra, look at those back muscles. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Full disclosure, one, that's like one of the main outfits I had her use when I played through the game. Two, I made her just like completely
jacked and badass.
Well, that
I feel like I know what you're gonna say, but go on.
I made her sleep with everyone, man, woman.
I think I did that. I did that with Alexios.
If she could fuck them, she did. Like that was like I think there's even that senior on one of the islands, and she's like, "You looking for a good time?" She's like, "Yeah, why not?"
I love her dialogue. Like, I've seen people play the game and like always like post these funny clips and stuff, and just like the shit she says, I'm just like, I love the voice acting for this character.
She's so good.
The voice actress is so good, but like just this character, I'm just like, damn, that is an attractive character. I'm like offended how attractive of a character.
Makala.
But she is not my favorite.
The one other thing I'll say about Cassandra is there's that whole fucking controversy where they made you marry, have a kid. So what I did with that too, I think you could still romance people after that. So like I had her fucking like everybody like going behind her husband's back because it was such a bullshit thing.
You're like, I got this achievement, but I hate that you couldn't just settle down with a nice lady.
Yeah. So
well, when
I was a douchebag. I was a douchebag to the husband. Every time he was like, "I love you, Cassandra," I'm like, "Fuck you."
You're like,
dude.
I used you for an achievement, sir. You are a trophy in my.
And then like he dies,
cabinet.
right? I just spoiled it.
I don't care.
Oh shit!
If I'm forced to marry a man, he better die quickly.
He dies, and like you're supposed to maybe feel bad, and I'm like, oh, good, Cassandra could go back to just like being completely monogamous and awesome. Anyway, back to me. Uncharted. Chloe Frazer, played by Claudia Black, who I love, voice actor, and then also she was in Farscape and SG1. She's awesome. It's both of my picks both have an Australian and an English accent, so it's like you get the good looks and you also get the accents. And
you want to see what I got there, Nanda? It's not a marsupial.
Oh my god!
She's like also kind of like an anti-hero, which makes her awesome too. Oh, that's not a great picture. Hold on, there she is. Oh wait, that's better. There we go. Chloe Frazer.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen pictures, but
you telling me
awesome.
you picked her over Nadine? I'm just kidding. She's voiced by Laura Bailey though, and Laura Bailey is everybody's love.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my other pick. Those are my only two. If you guys come up with ones I forgot, I will piggyback off yours. But I'll let you two just go back and forth now.
All right.
But because I also appreciate women. And then, like, I'm like, this one's really hot.
This episode is female heavy, just so.
It's very. I know originally you guys were like, we'll pick our, like, same sex, like, options. And I was that's easy for me.
That was a different idea because that's something I could talk about after we're done recording. But, all right, so I'm up. I will say I loved the games, as you know, even though they kind of got progressively as they went on, but I love the new Lara Croft.
Oh, stop. She's one of mine. I do love her too. I love her more than OG Lara Croft.
No, OG Lara Croft was so ridiculous, but the new Lara Croft has got like she looks like a real person, first of all, and everything about her, even when she's dirty, muddy, and everything like that. Total badass.
Like, I'd let this woman kill me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'd let this woman hit me with a climbing axe.
Exactly. You pickaxed my heart. I fucking love those games, though. I, like, love the Tomb Raider trilogy.
Yeah. So, yeah, the new Lara Croft is mine.
She's pretty awesome.
She could choke me to death in a mud pit. So, she does that in a movie scene. It's okay.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I love in the third game where she rises out of the water and there's fucking fire everywhere. And it's like the hottest shit, literally, because Fahrenheit, but like the hottest shit you will ever see in a game. I was just like, holy shit.
It's where she's just going to like pick you up and just take you off.
She goes fucking rage mode. She like, I was like, no wonder people are afraid of you. And slightly turned on.
I'll be in my bunk.
I'll be in my bunk.
Exactly. Speaking of Firefly, now I feel like I have to be like, honorable mention Lara Croft, because you did. Mm-hmm. That'll be in. I already ranted. So she was one of my choices, so I just switched her to there. My next one's going to be Tame, and then my last one's going to be like, this is the love of my life.
So are you bringing it back to Matt already for the honorable?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, because I was going to pick
Okay,
Lara
fair
Croft.
enough.
I'd rather
Okay.
do it together.
Okay. All right. So I'll pick another one here and she's going to kind of come out of left field because not a lot of people played the game, but I love Trip from Enslaved Odyssey to the West. Another redhead. Ooh. She's also got the part like mechanical stuff going. I love Trip. Like from the moment I saw her in the game, gorgeous looking character. She's got the red hair and everything like that. Her appearance, she's like that futuristic cave woman almost, stuff like that, but it's kind of hard to explain if you haven't played the game. But it takes place in the future, but like everything is destroyed, so they're kind of scavenging machines and stuff like that. Kind of think Aloy almost from Enslaved Odyssey. And I saw Brittany kind of look at me. So having said that, Brittany, who is your
Aloy? Aloy, okay, hold on. Aloy is a character that I just love to begin with.
Yes.
And I love all these characters. I'll start off that way. But she is also hot. So we'll just say that. I like Ashley Birch.
Her hair like always does it for me.
She's just gorgeous.
I don't know what it is about Aloy. She is one of my favorite video game characters of all time, probably like top 2.
Yeah.
Like I love that character. I am not attracted to her like in the slightest. I don't know if it's just because like she's just so like I'm attracted to like how badass she is. Like there's no.
Well, no, that's like Ellie's not on my list at all.
Right.
She's my favorite game character of all time. But I relate and I see myself in Ellie. So I'm like, it's weird to me to be like, she's not hot. Like she's me. Like what?
Like I fucking love Aloy, but it's just like, and yeah, she looks
gorgeous.
good, but it's just like, yeah, she's amazing. I don't
ship her with me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I ship her with that other woman warrior who I really hope, because in the comics they're kind of flirty, and I'm like, make her gay in the second game.
that should be the theme song for Brittany.
Yeah.
Make her gay in the second game.
That's why I said this one was going to be Tame, because she's not somebody that I'm just like super like attracted. Like she's gorgeous, she's an amazing character, but I ship her so hard with everyone but me.
Yeah, she was the first person that came to mind when I was going to make the list. And I was like, but wait. I'm not like, I think she's so fucking cool. And like, I don't know.
Honorable mention, Jesse Faden from Control.
Jesse Faden is hot.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, because that's actually how the actress looks too. So I'm like, oh shit, that's just a scan. You're a real person.
Yeah.
So that makes me uncomfortable though, because I'm like, I don't want to be weird to a real person.
I think the thirst in general were already kind of weird just because
they're always thirsty.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was actually thirsty for characters until you like make a list, and I'm just like, I get it now. Because before I'd be like, no, I love and respect all these women, which I do, but they could also
get it.
They can get it.
Kick me in the face. So.
Oh my God.
All right, last round.
So I know Julian already said her, but I'm just gonna say Miranda Lawson again. I mean, just pure, utter, unadulterated hotness. You know, she can shoot me in the face and everything. It is what it is. So, Brittany, give us yours.
Get ready for the love of my life from any video game ever. Will never be topped.
I'm really curious what this is.
Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy
I
VII.
knew it. I fucking knew it.
Right? Hold on.
I thought about putting Tifa on my list, and I'm like, somebody is going to grab her.
I loved her back when she was pixelated.
Yep.
I loved her in the Advent Children film. I love her now in the remake. She is always and will always be my OG. And I love lots of Final Fantasy characters. But once again, I love Riku from Final Fantasy, but I see myself in Riku, so I'm like, that's weird. I don't find that attractive. Love Yuna. It is not the same. Tifa Lockhart could choke me out with her thighs. And she does that. She will kill people with her legs because she punches and kicks
She punches
like
robots, for Christ's sake.
As much as in the remake, I wish they would have made her arms a little more buff, because just as a martial artist, I'm like, her arms are so skinny. And she's like punching through trains. Good God, this woman. Tifa Lockhart, if she were real, call me. Look at this. Her bar is called Seventh Heaven for a reason.
Oh, baby.
For a reason.
Nice.
Anyway, she has a lock on my heart. Honorable mention, Renoa Hartley from Final Fantasy VIII. She could also get it. But
I feel like at some point we're going to have to do like a male thirst just to balance this out.
I'll be like Squall, Final Fantasy VIII.
I'm surprised no one said Claire Redfield.
Oh, no. Okay, hold on. Hear me out. Claire Redfield, in the older games, I'll give you, but in the remake, she looks too young for me, and it made me uncomfortable.
What about Jill Valentine?
Yeah, Jill Valentine.
Like, she looked like someone I know. So
Oh,
like, that's
yeah.
the thing, because like she just looks too young, and I'm like, you kind of look like you're like 17. I don't like this.
Yeah.
But overall, in all the other forms and the movies and everything, yes, Claire Redfield, couldn't get it. But in the remake, I was like, they just made them too like pretty. I don't know, like they don't look aged enough. And I know they were like real like face models and stuff they did, like the dude for Leon was. But even I was just like, I feel like you were more rugged and older before. Now you're just kind of like, I'm a sleek model.
Sometime down, as I say, we're gonna have to balance this out and do a male thirst.
We'll do another thirst.
We'll do a
episode.
thirst.
We
For
can,
sure.
and you guys will think my choices are so weird. It'll be fun.
Alrighty, then let's move on to our
Wait, can I pick Randall Park and it won't be weird? Like Jimmy Woo? I'm just kidding.
Jimmy Woo.
Jimmy Woo.
Oh.
Jimmy Woo Woo. No, it's okay.
All right, guys, let's go into our final segment, and that is Snowpiercer Season 2, Episode 3, a great Odyssey, 1,034 cards long. I'm going to go first here because I never get to go first, and I put myself first.
Do it.
There.
Do it.
This show is so good, and I have loved Sean Bean since GoldenEye. Like, he was like, I feel like he's like the first villain besides like General Chang from Star Trek 6 that like I really remember and be like, oh man, he was so good.
He's always been there for you.
He's always been there for me. And I just I always go back to that line, like I think right as he's about to die, and it's like the beginning and the end of the movie. He's like, for England, James?
No, for me.
For me. So good. So, you know, then as Boromir in Lord of the Rings, even though he's an ass, that I know he wasn't really an ass. I know. You don't even need to say it.
It was all their father.
It was. And then, you know, being Stark in Game of Thrones. Like, he's just so good. And he's been in a ton of other things, and he's a great actor. This role, I swear, was just like the role he was meant to play. He is so good at this sick, cynical piece of shit that listen, if you really want to make a good comparison, as awful it is to say, he is the Donald Trump of this show. He is. He's awful. He's an awful human being, but he has the love of his people because they are brainwashed to his, like...
I think we said that last episode.
Yeah.
I was like, he's a demagogue.
Yeah, and I'm saying it again.
Leader.
And it just, like, it comes back to this way. Like, and it's so obvious when they're making exchanges and he's sitting there in his throne, and it's just like, and the people are okay with it. You know, like, they're like, he, you know...
I really have some bread.
I'm waiting for the Make Snowpiercer Great Again hats.
I will...
That's the W tattoos.
Yeah.
I'm actually I really dug the line that he said to Alex is the daughter's name. Yeah,
yes.
Alex. Where when she breaks the train and whatnot, so Melanie can jump off, and he goes like, "Look at me again." He goes, "That's the last tear I'll allow."
Yes.
But then
and she's
Alex,
like, "It's the last tear you'll get."
Yeah, like that. That was an awesome exchange between the two of them.
I love that actress. Like, I think she was in like a Disney show before this, so like I was aware of her just from like seeing things. But like, wow, she is really good and very believable. I think as being like Melanie's daughter.
Yeah,
like this is legit.
The one thing that there's two things that I usually don't really have much to question about this show, but there's two things that kind of threw me off, right? First, we know that Snowpiercer was the main train. Like, we know that for sure. That's why it's stocked. That's why it has all the food. We know that Big Alice couldn't get going right away, so they had to stick it out. But I still don't fully understand why they didn't have it stocked with enough food because they still have a lot less people than Snowpiercer has. Like, Wilford would have still, I think, being how smart he is, planned for this. So my question is that just a mistake on the writing team's part, or do they have the food and he's intentionally starving them for loyalty?
So I think because the thing is they say that Big Alice is a supply train. They have all the parts, all the stuff to keep Snowpiercer running, so they wouldn't have like these hydroponic cars and stuff like that, or, you know, cattle cars to grow all this stuff. So I would say no, they don't have all this food, because somebody would have found out and been like, hey, Wilford, we have all this food. Wilford's keeping it from us. So I do think also they wanted to give Wilford a legitimate weakness that, you know, that he's trying to cover up, that he doesn't want anybody to know about it. Because when he had Kevin slit his own wrist, he's like, that's a weakness, Kevin.
Right.
And now they know about it. So, yeah, I don't think that Wilford is withholding food. I think it's a legitimate weakness that he and his crew have.
And I think that initially they were going to always have the two trains leave together so that way, like the train will repair the other one, vice versa. So I think that like they obviously have enough supplies and rations to survive, but it wasn't meant to be the train that makes the food. They were supposed to kind of always work symbiotically, and it's just the circumstances of Snowpiercer leaving early before him and all this crazy shit. And, all the people rushing on the train taking over, which caused them to have to take... It's a lot of things.
Well,
so.
It's a really cool comparison, and Matt, one day we'll get you through Battlestar, but this is very reminiscent of Pegasus finding Galactica. Like, Pegasus, even though it's the bigger and better ship and has, like, they can make Vipers on that ship, and they can make all, like, the technology, they had the worse situation than Galactica, because Galactica managed to get out of there and find food and find supplies and find a fleet of ships, whereas Pegasus didn't have that. So you have Admiral Kane, who is this shit. She wasn't always a shit person, but had to become a shit person. And who knows?
Because they had to eat shit.
It sounds like Wilford has always been a shit person, whereas Kane kind of adapted to her situation.
Yeah.
I just think that's
Wilford's a classic narcissist.
Yeah. The other thing I think I brought it up in the chat. Wilford says a line to Andre about, "Oh, you've learned so much," or you've come such a long way in this little time I've known you, or something along. I just like spit all over my mic. Something along those lines, and that got to me. I'm like, do people forget that he was
Wilford? Isn't
Wilford
aware
doesn't
of him.
know. Yeah, Wilford
so
doesn't.
he literally means like you just took over and you're a tailie.
Yeah.
He's learning of all these things. So he's like, you took over and you've learned a lot about how to lead in a little bit of time.
Yeah, but I'm also wondering, like, because other people question, I'm like, dude, he was a detective. He was like a prominent cop. And like, listen, Chicago PD, like, you have to be smart. You have to be street smart. You have to be a very smart person. Like, Leighton's not dumb. He's very, very intelligent.
Yeah, but you forget none of that matters because the world ended.
Well, no.
So no titles matter.
No, I'm not saying the titles
Leighton
matter.
is very much intelligent and street smart. But the thing is that, and I think I kind of said this last episode we did about this, is that Leighton has kind of now jumped into the world of politics, which Wilford very much knows that because you do not become a multi-billionaire without being able to move within those circles and be able to manipulate people. I think somebody, and it's funny because now I just thought about how the Wilford character, because somebody I know said that their father who owned a business said something that at some point your business hits a moment, a certain point when you must either decide I take care of my employees and my business doesn't become hugely bigger or successful, or I exploit these people and it becomes much bigger.
Exactly.
And stuff like, and Wilford went that route. He
Jeff
exploits
Bezos.
people.
Oh God.
Oh no,
Sorry.
it's any multi-billionaire exploits people. There's no question about that.
You can't become a millionaire without doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that, like, as far as Wilford knows, I'm sure he's got information about Leighton and things like that, but it's still the fact that he's become this leader and it's like, who were you? I didn't even know you were on the Snowpiercer. That sort of thing. Like, you were the people that, rushed in and joined at the end. Like, the fact that he's like, oh, you've learned a lot in such a short period of time because, like, he just learned that the rebellion happened right before he clamped on. So he's like, we'll see how this goes. So I think that was him kind of, like, not necessarily praising Leighton, but just reminding him of, like, you're new to this game and you're doing well right now. You're doing the smart thing now, but good luck keeping up with it. So I think that was him showing like that.
Fair.
Okay, you're smart. You gave me food, so I'm going to have to agree. And you need supplies for Melanie because I have to agree because it's for all of us. But it's just one of those things where he's just like, okay, you've learned a lot. We'll see how well, like, how much you've actually learned.
His little snobby exchange when he's just like, when she's like, I want a Volt, so he's like, well, you have 3. He's like, but then I'd only have 2.
Yeah,
honey.
Exactly.
Like, that was such like an industrialist thing to say.
Yeah. I know we didn't really kind of go in the traditional format. Do you guys have any thoughts that I didn't hit on yet about this episode?
I have thoughts. My favorite, I just had to announce it so I get it. My favorite part of this episode, like, I love Wilford and Sean Bean as Wilford. And even him just showing up at that season finale or the post scene after the finale was like, oh my God, this show's going to go insane. Like, he's an amazing actor. Like, it was like the best reveal and the best finale. So I love seeing him be the character. Like, it's totally believable. I don't for a second doubt that he's Wilford and, like, the levels he will go to and, like, the sort of, like, power hungriness that he has. But I love how more and more, and I didn't really expect it to happen right away in this episode, but since Melanie's going to have to leave, it kind of made sense. But the amount we got to see happen between her and her daughter and the scenes they just got to have together were meaningful. It didn't feel forced or like too many. And there were so many like good lines that like it shows that she's like hesitant to like be vulnerable to her mom or like show that she wants to care or cares again. And especially the fact that Melanie says, you know, I'm not leaving you because I want to, like I'm leaving you, but so you'll have a life.
Yeah.
Like everything I've done is for you. And it kind of like grew on her that way. But when they're sitting in her bunk and they're talking about like the route they're going to take, and then, you know, Melanie touches the train and talks about how she can feel the train. She's like slowly teaching her in that moment. And she has so much like respect for her because she knows her mom's intelligent. She's the best engineer. All these other things is why she should be an important person, but like she's important to her for other reasons. The line that when they're looking up at like what they're about to do and she's saying like, okay, that's the breakneck, like we're going to boost you up. This is how it's going to happen. And then she looks over at her mom for a little bit and then she looks back up. She just goes, this is some crazy shit, Mom. Like when she says that, like those little moments and those little scenes got me. Cause like they easily could have played this or where she's going to be standoffish the whole season. Maybe in season 3 she breaks down. But the fact that like you can tell this is a child who's been longing for a parent. She's upset, she's hurt at what happened, and all the, you know, manipulation and lies that Wilfred has kind of like spewed into her over the years to get her to think that like her mom did this on purpose or whatever.
So here's I want to make sure I'm getting the right episode. Was it this episode? And I'm very curious what they're doing with this when they showed Icy Bob.
Yes,
it was
being put in the thing, and because Wilfred, and they're like, oh, he can like survive. You know, it's like 70 below or whatever the hell, and Wilfred's like needs to be colder. And like you have less than a month, so I'm like, is he sending Icy Bob
to
after
kill
her?
Melanie.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I was thinking that too because he's going to have to go colder longer or whatever.
Yeah,
but I was right when we said like why Icy Bob like had that. I was like, I feel like they've been experimenting on him and like his skin is like just that severe. Like they've been putting him in cold and then it like
doing the goop.
Doing the goop and everything, and like they've hardened him so much that it's like armor almost for him to see how much he can withstand. So it's like basically dead skin that's just blocking. So that was cool to see it happen.
Yeah.
I do think he's going to try to like, you know, obviously betray Melanie so that way when they come back around, oh, somehow she died before she got back or she didn't make it back in time. We're going to have to move on without her.
This show is unique in the sense with Alex that I think they're very much telling you without physically telling you that she's known Wilfred's been awful before they ever docked with Snowpiercer. She knows that he's not a good human being, but she's also hurting from from her mother leaving, even if she knows it's true that she thought that she'd, tried to get her back. So I think that's why it's this very quick roll with her, like coming to terms and like being warm with her mom again.
Yeah. And I like that it was under time constraints. And that's what I was trying to say earlier is that it made sense for it to be that way, but it didn't feel rushed, even though it had to happen in a short period.
Yeah. Anything from you?
I think we've already been going around and like covering most of it. But honestly, so I will say this about Snowpiercer in general. If it probably wasn't for WandaVision, I would say this is probably the best show of this year at this.
I still think I like it more than WandaVision. As much as I enjoy it.
It's close.
But the thing is, I finish every episode of Snowpiercer saying this show is so fucking good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And WandaVision, I finished being like, oh, this is cool. Where's it going? I feel like a distinct difference. Like, I tweet about, like, Snowpiercer the minute I finish watching it. And, like, WandaVision, I'm just kind of like, cool, I'm going to sit on this. I'm going to discuss it in the podcast.
I got to try and push Snowpiercer on more people to get more people. It's already been renewed for a third season.
You don't hear a lot of people talking about it. It didn't even get a fucking Steelbook release.
I think because, like,
they didn't.
It's on TNT, and they didn't promote it super like a ton.
Well, it is a TNT show, and nobody's like, oh man, TNT's where I go and watch my television.
And it's not a TNT show that's, for example, streaming also on HBO Max like some shows are. I mean, look at me. I'm someone who loves a show, and I have to go a weird way to find it on Comcast to watch it.
Yeah.
So
I honestly just buy the episodes as they come out, so no commercials from my ass.
Melanie's off the train now, and we're going to talk about that next. But with her off the train, we know that Wilfred's going to make his second appearance on Snowpiercer. Do we think he tries to immediately make a move? Do we think he's going to play a longer game?
He's going to play the longer game. He's obvious because he has a month essentially, and it depends on how they do the passage of time with the episodes because, I mean, one of the things I know we talked about previously is are there going to be people in this facility that Melanie is going to that have managed to survive and eke out an existence and whatnot and so on and so forth. But I would say that not this next episode, but maybe the one after that, you'll start seeing Wilfred like really starting to play his hand and try and push Leighton into, giving up his leadership to Wilfred. Because Wilford could say, like, I already know how to lead these people. You don't, or something like
And
that.
they already have his respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember what I was going
'Kay.
to say. So when Alex and Melanie are actually both driving the trains together and they're doing the boost, and like that acting and the hesitation on the actress that plays Alex's part of like, what's going through her mind, and that she's like, if I don't boost, I do get to spend more time with my mom and everything. But Wilfred being there over her shoulder and like doing his manipulative thing, and the fact that like she's gonna cry by the end of that scene, like you can feel it, and the fact that she's trying to talk Jess to her mom on the way, but she can't even call her mom. She has to start saying Melanie again and things like that because he realizes this is her weakness. This is what's happening. She spent time with her. I thought that whole scene was probably like the best part of the episode. It was like really phenomenal. And then when she does finally boost, and then, she knows that she could have killed everybody in the back of the train, and that was Wilfred's whole thing, that, like, it would have been on you because you were driving. Like, I like that Melanie confirmed that with her right before the end to be like, I just want you to know this is what Wilfred does. That's who he is. And you can tell Alex knows that.
Yeah.
And she already knew that. So it was cool.
Speaking of like moments like that and warm moments, I don't know if it was so subtle that people might have missed it, but you have Ruth coming to terms and almost like accepting Melanie's apology without saying it when she's going through.
She like cried.
Take care of Alex. Like,
Well,
I swear.
Well, not that, but then she says engineer.
Yeah, she does.
We will have things covered. Like that's her way of saying I got you.
Yeah,
we're
good.
good. And I really, really like that moment a lot.
This episode was filled with so many scenes like that. That's why it's hard to just be like, what else happened? What else?
The biggest thing that happened is Melanie is now on the outside and she is heading towards this weather station. How much do you think we're going to see of that journey? Do you think we're still going to spend most of the time on Snowpiercer, or is this going to all of a sudden turn to like an A and B plot show where we're following Melanie and Snowpiercer?
They're not gonna limit Jennifer Connelly's screen time.
She's too powerful. I thought the same thing. I was like, they're going to show both things like they have been.
Yeah, they're gonna show Melanie in the facility. That's why, as I said, I feel like there's gonna be people in this facility, because you can't just have Jennifer Connelly just like going. Like tapping on a keyboard,
or she's going to discover something, but then she can't relay the information to them. So it's like the waiting for the month, like, and she's finding out more and more. And then by the time they get back around, like, if she's able to meet up with them or whatever the fuck Wilfred's up to, she'll be like, but then there's more information you don't even know. Like,
I do think Icy Bob is going to be sent after her.
I'm
Probably.
very, very intrigued by
kills
Icy
him.
Bob. Yeah. I don't know how you killed a mammoth like that. Maybe runs over with the snow buggy jet ski.
Or maybe they're waiting till they come around in a month and they'll just like let him out instead of opening it up for her. And then it'll be like, does she make it on the train in time? Does she beat him and run back on? Does he die and freeze? Who knows?
We will see. Anything else on Snowpiercer episode 3?
I'm just going to say it's really good. If you're not watching it already, do it. Like, please go and watch season 1, and then try to hop on before the season ends, because you want to watch it while it's happening.
Yeah, if we were doing this like last season, we would say, "Are you still watching?" Because we're on episode 3, and we are all 100%.
Yeah, there's no
like we
question
love
about
this
it.
show.
We are chugging along.
Better hop on board Snowpiercer before it leaves.
134,000. Oh no, whoa, that would be way too many
like
cars.
so many
134,000 cars long.
1,034 cars long. Let's give it a rating. I didn't know what to give it a rating out of this time. Rating out of
5 fingers?
5 out of 5 tears.
No,
I'm just
too
kidding.
dark. 5 Rocky Mountain icicles.
Oh, I was going to say like fresh eggs.
Whichever.
5 boost presses.
Give it a 5 out of whatever the fuck you want.
I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 moments of hesitation before hitting boost. Because we know it was like 5 whole seconds.
God.
Yeah, I love it. I love the show. I love the characters. And I like how it continues to keep me interested and surprised.
I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Sean Bean allowed tears. And just because, once again, it's another show that I want to see every episode, after, and every time it ends, I'm like, God damn it.
I want to see Alex slowly like doing more rebellious things against him, like whether it's under his nose or directly to him. I wonder how she's going to play the next month.
Be interesting.
I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. There's so many great emotional moments in this episode. And the past 2 episodes have been a lot of setup, but that's not a bad thing because the show does
It's all good.
They do it so well.
Smart.
While giving us these like big emotional beats.
We haven't even talked about like Josie and stuff
I
like
know.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much that you
There's
can
a lot of shit.
discuss
I also
in this
don't
show.
love the Josie subplot, so I'm kind of staying away from it right now. I want to see where it goes before we talk about it anymore.
I just leave her in the hospital room.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
Josie see nothing right now.
Oh my God.
Anyway, 5 out of 5. That's going to do for this episode. Now, Brittany doesn't know about this, but I'm going to surprise you right now. Next week, it's your birthday.
Yes, it
So we're going to celebrate your birthday on the show.
Birthday.
I want you to come up with 10 trivia questions, nerdy
About
trivia
me?
questions about you for
Oh,
Matt
God.
and I to try and answer.
I'm terrible
Like,
at this
how
stuff.
good of friends are you with
I'm
me?
gonna give you the board. I'm gonna have yes or no beeps and buttons. It's gonna be fun.
Is it like two truths and a lie, or is it just like all truths?
Make it however you want it to be.
Go merciful.
Go merciful,
Okay.
merciless.
So I got to think of 10 things about me. 10
10
things I may or may not like about you.
So we're gonna do that. We'll have more WandaVision. We'll have more Snowpiercer. It's gonna be fun.
10 things I know about you.
Yeah, 10 things I know about
Yay!
you. So that'll do it for episode 88. We will be back next week. I will say to you and yours, have a good night. Icy Bob.
You can find Everything is Permitted on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Everything is Permitted is produced by Rob Bigliaccio, Nikki Veazey, and Geneva Stein-Shivers. Our executive producers are Michael Cox, Brittany Tomes and the Tomes family, and Julian Brown.